The Out of Bounds Show podcast is brought to you by Boar's Head, premium meats, cheeses, and hummus. Boar's Head, compromise elsewhere.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is now awarded.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Lowbound. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9.
All set? Let's go.
The Zone.
Oh, it's that time. It's that time. The Out of Bounds Show, live and local on WRKS, ESPN 105.9, The Zone, and streaming worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. Hope you're excited for what should be a fantastic Wednesday as we prep for college football and, of course, the first full slate of high school football games this weekend. I know you can smell it in the air, feel it when you walk outside. It's finally time. Football season is here. I'm Blake Scott, filling in for the incomparable Bo Bounds today as we take a trip down memory lane and discuss a little bit of college football, a little bit of the NFL, and hit some interviews over the past few weeks, some of the best and brightest that we've had on the show. We're going to check out a lot of different things today, and I hope that you will stay tuned for what should be a fun 3 hours live on the Out of Bounds Show in the Bank Plus studio. You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show with Blake Scott, filling in today, and we're excited to have you on board with us. We are live in the Bank Plus studio, and the show is always brought to you by Kessler Prime. That's right, the fantastic filet, bone-in ribeye, maybe a New York strip, cooked perfectly medium rare. You get the side of the asparagus. I mean, you can't go wrong. And on National Whiskey Sour Day, I'm not personally a whiskey sour guy, but we'll let you have at it. You got to get a Four Roses bourbon. You can get a whiskey sour at Kessler Prime. Maybe you get the old-fashioned, whatever floats your boat. Kessler Prime in the Renaissance. Make a reservation today. They are slammed, it feels like, every night. And so you're going to want to get over there and get tuned up for football season. Get you that nice Kessler Prime steak to kick you off for football coming up in, we have football games this weekend, although not in major D1 football, but that kickoff Thursday of next week. We're excited for college football to be here and excited to be involved with Live Oaks and the College Football Classic as we celebrate the kickoff to the college football season next Thursday at Live Oaks Golf Club. That's right, next Thursday at Live Oaks Golf Club, celebrating the start to college football season with an incredible tournament, cash prizes for the top 4 teams involved, door prizes throughout the course. And we talked with Kyle Morris on Monday of this week. We may hear from Kyle again a little bit later in the week, and we'll definitely talk to him next week as we prep up for the College Football Classic over there at Live Oaks on Highway 49 North. And when you're thinking lunch, check out Roosevelt's at Live Oaks on Highway 49 North. Roosevelt's at Live Oaks, your lunchtime destination. Fried chicken, Philly cheesesteak, fantastic homemade chicken salad. You can't go wrong with the club sandwich. And the fries. As a show that dedicates themselves to food, the fries at Roosevelt and Live Oaks are to die for. If you're just joining us this morning, this is the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We got a couple great topics to get to, a couple interesting interviews to hear from. We talked with Lee Sterling. We spent 30 minutes talking to Lee Sterling yesterday after the show. We're going to hear from him at 8:30 today. But Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com, he'll be joining the show all year, all the way through Super Bowl for college, NFL, all the picks, the prop bets, passing yard bets, the over-unders, everything that you need to know to become the quintessential pro gambler, pro sports bettor. That is your man, Lee Sterling. And we had an incredible interview with Lee yesterday, and we're going to play it at 8:30 today. But Lee talked about kind of how he got into the business. This isn't a picks interview. We're not going to spend 20 minutes breaking down the over-under for a NFL preseason game. What we did was we kind of took a behind-the-scenes look, a peek at the man behind the man, Lee Sterling, who you hear every football season on Friday at 8:15, and you'll get to hear him this year, Friday at 8:15 Central Time on the Out of Bounds Show. But he kind of laid out, here's how I got started. Here's how I was doing things with my dad. Here's how it segued into, now I am one of the most renowned handicappers in the country, one of the most successful and correct handicappers in the country, documented. And it's really an incredible interview. I know you guys have heard Lee come on the show for years and years and years, and Bo and I were talking, and I asked him a simple question, what do we know about Lee? What do our listeners know about Lee? Why? Let's find more out about the man who brings us winners week in and week out during football season. So we'll hear from Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com at 8:30. You're not going to want to miss that one, and it's going to be a good one. Dave Bartoo stopping by at, I think, 7:30. We'll see. But Dave Bartoo going to stop by at 7:30, I believe. And we may have a couple other guests sprinkled throughout the day, but we're excited to have you along for the ride. I want to start here. Blake Scott filling in for the incomparable Bo Bounds, if you're just joining us here this morning. I want to start with this. We briefly brought up the Alliance yesterday. And for those of you who aren't maybe as tied in, not as clued in, the SEC added Oklahoma and Texas about 2 weeks ago, officially, I guess. Added Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC. It'll take a few years to be put in place, but it is officially official. They're coming to the SEC. And that spurned a lot of resentment around the country. A lot of vitriol from the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the ACC, and, of course, the orphaned 8, the remaining 8 teams out of what once was the Big 12. That kind of conglomeration of the 3 Power 5 conferences and then the orphaned 8, boy, they got upset with what happened. And I get it. I mean, if you're part of the orphaned 8, I definitely get it, because you got the shortest end of the short stick. And there ain't no doubts about that. The Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, good programs. Good programs. They just don't make the money, right? They don't bring the eyeballs. They don't generate the revenue. And so while they're good programs, and I don't think if Mississippi State and Ole Miss are in that group, and Oklahoma State and Texas Tech or whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you switched them out, there's no difference in State and Ole Miss if they're in that orphaned 8 than any of the 8 that are in there. So don't get it twisted. It's not that these schools necessarily did something wrong. It's just wrong place, wrong time. But the other 3 conferences, the Pac-12, the ACC, and the Big Ten, in response to the SEC's growth and inclusion of 2 of the largest brands, well, one of the largest brands and then a subsidiary brand, Texas, one of the largest brands in the country when it comes to college athletics, and Oklahoma, a very close subsidiary to Texas. They're not in the top 5 probably, but they're a top 10, top 15 brand in the country, right? Across all of athletics. The SEC's growth into what is undeniably the predominant super conference now has spurned the formation of what is being called the Alliance. And the Alliance is the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC. And I find it incredibly interesting that these 3 conferences, who operate independently of each other in 4 different time zones, and who have very, very different ideals when it comes to what's important, both in athletics and outside of athletics when it comes to their conference. I find it incredibly interesting that these 3 conferences spread out across the country, from California to Carolina, that these 3 conferences and their commissioners are going to come together and create the quote-unquote alliance to try to respond to the SEC's power and dominance. We're going to get into an article on The Athletic, but Nicole Auerbach has been deep diving this thing since the realignment news broke with Texas and Oklahoma. From what we understand, the alliance is a mutual agreement with no written charter, right? So they're not bound by anything other than a handshake. Now, when has a handshake ever backfired on a business deal, right? I don't know of any time. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. live in the Bank Plus studio and streaming on the Out of Bounds radio app. We appreciate you listening. Stay tuned. We got a fun 3 hours ahead for you. The Out of Bounds Show podcast is powered by Breezy Oaks Ranch. For Mississippi-raised premium Wagyu beef and heritage pork shipped straight to your door, visit breezyoaksranch.com.
Big board. What's on the big board?
Oh, it's getting hot on the Mississippi Ag text line. You're not going to miss this. Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Brought to you, of course, by the Sleep Store at Miskelly's. That's right, Miskelly Sleep Store. #1 mattress destination in the state of Mississippi, and it ain't even close. You got to check them out, Miskelly Sleep Store. And I want to tell you about the purple mattress at Miskelly's. That's right. You've heard Bo talk about it. He's sleeping on one. He's got the pillow. It's revolutionary. The purple mattress at Miskelly Sleep Store is American made. The purple mattress reduces pressure, instantly adapts, and doesn't trap heat. That's right. The innovative purple grid. It is next level. It's alien technology in your mattress. That's right. Try the purple mattress at Miskelly Sleep Store today. Miskelly Sleep Store, Miskelly Furniture. You got to check them out. Go visit Miskelly's today and ask about the purple mattress. Tell them Bo sent you. Ask about the purple mattress. It is next level. It's Alabama on the gridiron. It's untouchable. The purple mattress at Miskelly Sleep Store. This is the Out of Bounds Show. I am Blake Scott, filling in for the incomparable one, Bo Bounds, out on assignment, knocking boots with the official guys that he has to. He's got to get those sponsors in. He's got to get that money made, baby. You know what it is. We're doing it over here, but we're keeping the train moving forward today. We're going to hear from Dave Bartoo here at 7:30. Talk a little college football, some SEC. And we'll hear from Lee Sterling. You're not going to want to miss the interview at 8:30. I cannot impress upon you enough, if you listen to this show with any regularity, if you've ever put a sports bet down, ever, at any sports bet, Golden Moon, if you're over there at the Golden Moon Casino and you're visiting our friend Chris Hopwood, we would love for you to do that. Download the app, PRR Sports app. But no matter where you put a bet, you're going to want to listen to the Lee Sterling interview at 8:30 today. It is phenomenal. It's a deep dive into who Lee Sterling is, how he got to where he is today, what he's, why he takes such passion and pride in doing what he does, and why we've been bringing him on the show for years, since before I got here, and he'll be here long after I leave, I imagine. So Lee Sterling at 8:30. Look, we're diving into the Alliance conversation, and I want you to be a part of the show. Mississippi Ag John Deere Tractor text line, 601-885-3776. That's right, 601-885-3776 is the Mississippi Ag John Deere Tractor text line. We're talking about the Alliance. It is the response to the SEC's dominance, okay? The SEC, starting in the 2000s, when the Northeast media, the Midwest media, was kind of silenced by what was happening on the field. The SEC and the Sun Belt continued to explode, a population boom, an industrial boom, an education boom, and the players in the South, it just became incredible. The SEC's rise to dominance, this is 20-plus years in the making, guys. I just want you to understand that. The Alliance is 20-plus years in the making, okay? You don't respond like this as a spoiled, petulant child unless you've suffered what you feel is years of abuse, right? Okay, this is your three younger siblings coming together because you've been dominating pickup basketball in the backyard, okay? So now they've decided they're going to take you 3-on-1, and that's going to somehow help them. Let me explain to you why the Alliance is a funny joke, okay? It's a mutual agreement based on three principles. They'd like to mutually come together to create better scheduling in football and other sports, but specifically football. They'd like to come together to have a stronger vote in regards to NCAA legislation and future legislation ideas in college athletics. And they want to come together to be stronger when it comes to creating college football playoff expansion. Let me explain to you why two of those three are irrelevant. The NCAA is gone, okay? It's over. It's done. That ship sailed. They're in restructure right now. It's going to be a constant evolving restructure of hot garbage until it falls apart completely. It's over. We will see a move to an NFL-style autonomous power conference schedule sooner rather than later, and the NCAA will not be in charge. Book it. Tag Old Takes Exposed. It don't matter. I ain't gonna be wrong. So you need to think about that. Secondly, so the NCAA legislation stuff, it doesn't matter. They could come together and pretend like they're going to have votes to do stuff, whatever. That's short-lived. It's not happening. It's not going to affect the SEC is the other part of it. Secondly, scheduling. Okay. Here's the issue. The Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC are already playing non-conference games. So now you've got to figure out how do you schedule in Power 5 matchups that make all that work. And you've already got 9 conference games, so you're already at 9 Power 5 matchups. That's as many as the SEC plays. They just play 8 conference games and 1 Power 5 non-con. But the Big Ten, the ACC, Pac-12, they're playing non-conference games. So they've only got 3 extra games to play with. Now, if you add another Power 5 matchup, if this whole thing is going to be like we're all going to play each other in a circle, and we're going to do some inter-conference mingling here, and we're going to work it all out. So now you're going to be at 10 Power 5 games? How is that any better for you? It's not. And Bo mentioned yesterday, well, maybe part of their goal is going to be to eliminate the ability for the SEC to schedule non-conference Power 5 games moving forward. Well, here's your problem. There are non-con Power 5 matchups for every SEC team scheduled out to 2027 and beyond. Those are contractually obligated. For the Pac-12 or the ACC or the Big Ten to back out of those will cost money. And if you exponentially add that across the board, so you talk about 23, they want to back out in 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. How many millions and millions of dollars is that when you add in all of those games across every right? So that's laughable. They're not going to there's no such thing as blackballing the people in charge, okay? The SEC's in charge, and the alliance, as they enjoy themselves to be called, can't do anything about that. They're not going to stop the SEC from scheduling games. And if we head towards this new autonomous kind of NFL-structured Power 5 or Power 4 conference league where you're not even playing G5 games, it won't matter that the Alliance is trying to do anything because that whole structure will be redone. So then we get to the one small sliver of hope that the Alliance has in terms of having any level of power and credibility on the college football landscape. Okay? That's the playoff. Can the Alliance, made up of the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC, can they do enough in the college football playoff expansion discussions to warrant the SEC at least acknowledging this laughable conglomeration of so-called power conferences? Okay. Greg Sankey's been in charge for umpteen quadrillion years, it feels like. The SEC's so well-oiled, it's a freight train running downhill with a heavy load. It ain't stopping for nobody. You've got a second-year commissioner in the Big Ten. You've got a first-year commissioner in the Pac-12, and maybe a 3 or 4 year commissioner in the ACC. I'll have to check. It's not good. Kevin Warren in the Big Ten absolutely botched the COVID year of 2020. The Pac-12 is hilarious, and they've got a new AD or a new commissioner who's a TV guy, and maybe he can elevate them a little bit. But this idea that the Pac-12, the ACC, and the Big Ten are forming an alliance, here's what's going to happen. As soon as this quote-unquote handshake agreement becomes unfavorable for the Big Ten, who's actually in charge, do you know what's going to happen to the Pac-12 and the ACC? Nothing. Nothing good. The Big Ten is not going to bend over backwards to help a defunct Pac-12 conference and the only other conference that competes with them outside the SEC in the ACC. It makes no sense. This alliance is exactly what you see on reality television, okay? You ever watch Survivor? Just wait till the stronger person in the alliance has no more use for the weaker person, okay? Just wait. Because when the Big Ten is done with the Pac-12 and they're done with the Orphaned 8 out of the Big 12 and they're done with the ACC, the Big Ten is the one true leader in the alliance. And you better watch out when the knife comes out because it's going in somebody's back. The Purple Mattress from Muskelly Sleep Store. Go check it out. Coming up next, Dave Bartoo.
The Out of Bounds Show podcast is presented by Edwin Watts Golf Shop on County Line Road. Your golf game starts with Edwin Watts Golf Shop.
Out of Bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, live in the Bank Plus studio. Blake Scott filling in for Bo Bounds today. About to go to Dave Bartoo, but I wanted to tell you about the Muskelly Sleep Store Purple Mattress. That's right. The Purple Mattress at Muskelly's Sleep Store is your next life-changing decision. The Purple Mattress at Muskelly Sleep Store is American-made. And the Purple Mattress reduces pressure, instantly adapts to your body, and doesn't trap heat. That's right, the innovative licensed Purple Grid. It changes the way you sleep, and it'll change the way you live your life. Try the Purple Mattress at Muskelly Sleep Store today. Now, let's go check out Dave Bartoo.
Check it out.
This is the SEC Insider Hit. It's driven by the John Deere tractors at Mississippi Ag. Visit agup.com to find a retail location near you.
Let's go.
Good morning. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, getting closer to Labor Day weekend. Some college football week after that. Get the NFL kicked off. Excited about that. Our guests join us on the Modelo guest line. The show is brought to you by Fleetway Market, 22 locations in Mississippi. Fuel up at Fleetway Market before heading to your college football road trip, hunting camp, maybe a beach trip. Not a better time to go to the beach than October in the fall. Little Orange Beach, Mississippi Gulf Coast, Destin, 30A. Fuel up at Fleetway Market. They also have ice cold beer, chips. Get you ready for home gating, tailgating. Our friend and college football maniac, you can follow him on Twitter at CFB Matrix. Joins us on the Modelo guest line. He is Dave Bartoo. We're going to preview Mississippi State and are we going to do both MSU and Ole Miss? We're hoping to have time to do that. So we're going to start with Mississippi State and let Dave walk us through the matrix, right? TLC, talent, location, coaching, effect. And Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach actually swim in pretty good waters with this, especially Mike Leach with all his years at Texas Tech and Washington State. He is known for as a coach that can take less and make more out of it and beat teams that out-recruit him. And so now they're in the choppy, shark-infested waters of the SEC West. We're hoping that division gets broken up here in the next couple of years as Oklahoma and Texas join the conference. All right, Bartoo, we're going to go game by game. The first three, in my opinion, are extremely important for Mike Leach and his quarterback, Will Rogers, and Zach Arnett, his defensive coordinator. They play Louisiana Tech at home, NC State at home, and at Memphis. But let's start with Louisiana Tech. What you got?
Well, I mean, these first three games, as we know, they're vastly out-recruit everybody they're playing, right? I mean, it should start 3-0. You want to talk about your fast start. I agree with you, especially in the SEC West. You just got to get it going right out of the gate. So you got Louisiana Tech at home, average coaching, talent-wise, I mean, it's pretty average for the conference they're in. So this should be an easy W for them right out of the gate. Unfortunately, in week 2, you got NC State coming to Starkville. Probably a little bit of a different story of a game on the road, but because it's at home, I mean, you're talking about a high mid-20s recruiter in Mississippi State going up against a high 30s, low 40s. This is like playing Missouri. That's what you're doing here. You're playing Missouri at home, to just kind of give some context in terms of talent-wise. Coaching, NC State's probably better coaching than Missouri. So this is kind of a this is a lower-end SEC game, really, in this football game.
Okay.
But I like that it's at home. So,
is Dave Doran just kind of he's kind of a middle of the – he just wins some of the games he's supposed to win but doesn't really do a lot of special stuff?
Average.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like a plus half game, plus one game coach effect guy, meaning that he's going to, if you expect him on paper, the recruiting and where the game is played, if it says they're going to be 7-5, they'll be 7-5 one year, 8-4 one year, 7-5 another year, and then maybe mix in a 6-6. Nothing. He hasn't blown the doors off of anything yet, but he's also not really ever on the bad side. It's been a pretty solid run at NC State, but there's never been a, oh my God, he coached the hell out of them kind of year. Certainly that can happen any time because the guy has had success throughout his career. But week 2 at home. I think with this one though, you can't. Actually, all these games. This is the tough thing about this schedule is you really can't overlook anybody or you're going to get in trouble.
Right.
And I know that kind of goes without saying in the SEC West. That's the way it is every freaking year. I get it. Right. But even early on here with NC State, you look past them, they have the talent to beat you. Like I said, it's like playing Missouri.
That's a great, I like the way you frame that up. All right, at Memphis, Bartoo, they promoted from within a year or so ago after Norvell went to FSU. I don't really know anything about the guy, but Memphis has been feisty the last several years. This is MSU at Memphis, game 3. What you got?
Yeah, the offense wasn't very good for Memphis last year. That's going to be the big question mark. Defensively, I think they're going to be really consistent. McIntyre is a solid defensive coordinator and has good numbers for his career. It's his second year at Memphis. So I think defensively it's going to be solid for Memphis. I don't trust their offense at all. And again, from a recruiting standpoint, there is a huge gap here. Memphis recruits in the high 60s, low 70s. This is way outside the realm of anything else. From a talent perspective, third easiest game on the slate. It's on the road. I know a lot of people say, this is a trap game with LSU the next week. It shouldn't be. If this team is going to be good this year, these first 3 games, everybody's going to get smoked in the games that they play.
Okay. Dave Bartoo on the Modelo guest line. So, Bartoo, if you handicap the first 3 games, give me a percentage on, going 3-0. 60%,
right,
70%?
When you the round numbers of winning football games is essentially when you're favorite, it's 75-25. Right, you win 3 out of 4. Now the odds start changing when you're playing lesser and lesser talent. So to me, on this, how would I handicap? I wouldn't even make a handicap line on this one because I really do. The odds are so strongly in favor of them being 3-0 here. I'd probably have to make it at 2.5. And then juice it for people that wanted to take 3.
Gotcha.
So I think you're going to get like 2.75 out of 3 is what your odds would probably be if you handicap going 3-0 at the start.
Okay. All right. Let's keep moving. Dave Bartoo, talent, location, coaching effect, the college football matrix, and the godfather of modern day college football recruiting. All right, Bartoo. Then we go to LSU at home. Does Leach have a chance to pull an upset here? I know he beat them last year. Different deal. 2 new coordinators at LSU. They obviously have a lot more talent than MSU. That game's in Starkville. LSU at MSU, game 4.
Yeah, well, you look at these next 3, right? LSU, A&M, Bama. Their best shot is going to be LSU.
Right.
Because you're not expecting any win against Alabama. That is gravy. It's happened, 3 times in the last 10 years, I don't know, or whatever the stupid numbers are.
Zero.
And A&M on the road. Yeah, A&M on the road, you're not expecting that either.
No.
Okay. Now, LSU, I can see LSU coming dead last in the West. So if there is a game, because what we're looking for here is, look, Mike Leach after year one, he's about a +2 game coach in terms of his coach effect. So somewhere in here, his career average, he is going to win 2 games against teams that basically out-recruit him. Okay? So we're going to throw out A&M and we're going to throw out Alabama. So LSU has got to be one of these. And I think it's at home. But with that LSU game, you got those big 3 games coming up. Alabama, A&M, LSU. This one to me is absolutely the best chance of winning this football game. You're getting LSU at home. You're getting it early. You got an OC and DC that haven't called plays before. So this is a great time to hit LSU. And LSU, I mean, from a projection standpoint, God, we all know they have national championship talent, right? But when you have all this new coaching, everything was turned over to guys that have never called plays before. I think it's better than a coin flip. Mississippi State can win this football game at home. I think a lot of it is going to depend on the efficiency that they create in those first 3 weeks. How good are they against Memphis and NC State and Louisiana Tech? If they're 3-0 and their offense and defense is rolling, especially the offensive side, I'm not so worried about the defense because the defense outperformed expectations last year big time. I think it can only get better. Offensively, really struggled, tried to catch something at the end. So we'll see if that can continue. I think if it continues in those first 3 weeks, I think absolutely LSU has got to be on upset alert on that last week in September against Mississippi State.
Dave Bartoo, TLC, Talent, Location, Coaching Effect, going through the Mississippi State schedule. All right, we'll go less than 10% at A&M, even less than that against Alabama, which takes us to at Vanderbilt, Bartoo. Let's say they're 3 or 4 wins with 2 losses, 2 or 3 losses to A&M and Bama and possibly LSU. But at Vanderbilt, October 23rd, what do you have there?
Right, so we're about 3.5 wins, right?
Yes.
Win the first 3, lose 2, and then we'll split it 50-50. So we're about 3.5 there. Vanderbilt, that has to be a W, right? I mean, the worst recruiter in the conference. They're worse than NC State. First half of the season, basically, still. All new staff there. That has to be a W. I expect them to be favored. Now, it'll be interesting how strongly favored. A large part of that is going to have to do with, obviously, how both of these teams perform in the first half of the season. But I expect that to, odds-wise, to be a very strong W. We go 70% on that.
All right. Dave Bartoo on the Out of Bounds show and the Modelo guest line. Then they get Kentucky at home.
Mm-hmm. Which I like. From a talent standpoint, these two are pretty similar. The one good thing Stoops has done, he has recruited Kentucky into a better talent tier. It is a fraction of what the program used to be. So he's been really good at recruiting. But what he's not really good at is pulling a positive upset. He just doesn't win a lot of games at all against teams that out-recruit him. Now, that's kind of the way it is in the SEC, but, even though the recruiting has improved a lot, you're still looking at the 10th, 12th, 11th best recruiter in the SEC.
Right.
And this game's at home. So I'd absolutely lean towards Mississippi State winning this football game at home. I expect them to be favored in that football game as well. Percentages obviously better than at Vanderbilt, but when you look at the SEC, and we talked about this on the shows previous, the better recruiter, no matter where the game is played, is going to win 70% on average of the SEC football.
How about that?
So you look at this and you go, Mississippi State, have they out-recruited him? Yep. They're at home? Yep. They got a better coach? Yep. They got a better offensive coordinator? Yep. Better defensive coordinator? Yep. I mean, that should easily fall in the
can't lay an egg. Yeah. Got it.
You can't afford ever to lay an egg in the West, right?
Right.
I mean, you have to take your opportunities. If you're going to have a top 25 year from the bottom half in recruiting, It doesn't matter where you're at. But, when you're talking about that, whether you're Arkansas or Ole Miss or you're Mississippi State, you have got to win every single game you're supposed to win.
All right.
Now, whether the odds makers, even if they say, hey, Kentucky's favored by 3, no. The recruiting and location of this game says Mississippi State should be favored. Just because the odds makers say that they're favored, I look at it from a different standpoint is, yes, I know the odds makers are saying that today, but the performance of the past should have said this should be favored. So, yeah, they got to take care of business against that 3-game stretch. They come off that brutal 3-game stretch, LSU, A&M, Alabama. The big meat of the season is that Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and then the next game, November 6th, Arkansas, because those are the 3 weakest conference recruiters that you're facing this year.
All right, so the next weekend is at Arkansas. I think talent's a push. It's in Fayetteville. So it's, what do you give them, like 55%, 45% chance to win that game?
Right? I mean, if we go by the numbers, we just say 70-30, right? They out-recruit Arkansas, 70% chance. But this is your coin flip game, right? This is another one of those. Because of where it's played, I think we'd both agree if this was in Starkville, completely different scenario. You're probably talking about, in terms of the spread, a touchdown swing, from being favored by 3.5 to, being an underdog by maybe 3.5 at Arkansas. Again, we'll see where these teams are, but I agree with you. This is our second coin flip game of the season, right? LSU is maybe a lesser one, but I think there's opportunity there. But the difference between 7-5, 8-4, 9-3 is one of those big games is going to be this Arkansas one circled right there. So I call it a coin flip game by the numbers, just because the talent is close enough and the coaching is close enough. I would still lean Arkansas in that football game. But, I mean, would either one of us be surprised the outcome of that game? I don't think so.
No.
I think the talent and coaching is close enough where whatever happens is, okay, that's where we're at. But we'll see where they're at going into it. But that is absolutely a key game on the schedule.
Dave Bartoo at CFB Matrix on Twitter. At Auburn, do you give them a 20% chance in that game?
This one here, this is like the LSU game, because you had Auburn turn everybody over. I give them a lot less of a chance on it just because it's on the road and it's later in the season. The team is acclimated more. I think Derek Mason is a superstar defensive coordinator, judging him by his career numbers. It's even when he was at Vanderbilt, you saw it. He was hard to score against, even with no talent. He was. The A&M scored 17 points last year against Vanderbilt, and almost lost that bloody football game. Vanderbilt's got nothing. So with Auburn, you're still talking about a top 11, 12 recruiter. With a phenomenal defensive coordinator. We'll see where they're at. They're going to have a veteran quarterback, even though he isn't very good. They're still going to have a veteran there. I think this one it leans the other way. This is, like a 30%, that 70-30. I would take Mississippi State, about a 30% odds of winning that football game.
All right, we'll keep moving. Tennessee State will be a W, and then Ole Miss at home. Ole Miss has a better QB. I think they have a slightly better play caller, but it is at home. And how do you see this? Mississippi State hosting Ole Miss.
Is it any different than the first time I ever came on the show?
No.
I mean, really. I think the first time I came on the show, I mean, and you and I have done hundreds of shows together.
Yes.
Like 250 segments. And I remember I didn't realize what the Egg Bowl was. I hadn't even heard of the Egg Bowl at that point, right? I'm like, what's the Egg Bowl? Oh, yeah, these guys really don't like each other.
True.
And then I think I said State would win the Egg Bowl because the game was at State.
Yes.
And I caught all sorts of ration of crap for that, and I think that's what happened. And I think the home team, if you look at the numbers, I don't have them right in front of me. I'm pretty certain the home team has won a lot of these football games in the last, 10 years?
Oh, a big chunk. No question.
Yeah. So, from a talent standpoint, I don't see these two teams very far apart at all. I'm taking for the foreseeable future, I'm taking the home team in this game. I'll take Ole Miss next year because they'll probably have a better defensive coordinator because Durkin can't handle Lane's offense. So, yeah, I like. I think State is going to have a better balance this year, offense and defense. Obviously, with the offense for Ole Miss, you're going to have Lane and Corral, so you're going to be in every football game as long as they're both healthy, right?
Sure.
But defensively, they're probably going to give up a ton of points because Durkin can't handle the offensive pace. So,
all right.
So we're looking at your coin flip games, right? You got Arkansas, you got Egg Bowl, you got LSU, and let's mix Auburn in there, okay? If you go 2-2 in those games, you'd obviously want to do better than that, right? But there's 2 wins. You start off 3-0. There's 5. Tennessee State is 6. Kentucky Vanderbilt. What are we looking at? 7.5 right there.
Yeah, that's right.
So you're looking about 7.5.
God, if Leach goes 7-5, I think most MSU fans would be super happy.
Right. So if you go straight by talent, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 7-5. If you simply go talent, location, it's a 7-5 season. Now Leach has pulled +2, +3 coach effect, 8-4. I really think, to not be crazy, I think 8-4 is a solid number that isn't above expectations. It's not too crazy, and 8-4 will get you top 25. I think 2 things are really going to depend on that: is the development of the defense. If that continues, because it was solid last year, defensive development continues, they'll be good. And if the quarterback and Leach's offense pops like it's done in the past, 8-4 is not out of the question, especially with all the opportunity in the West. It still recruits great, but with all the turnover and all the changes, everybody has a hole. So can a great coach take advantage of those?
We'll leave it there. We'll do the Ole Miss preview when Bartoo gets back from hunting lions and tigers and bears. So Bartoo,
dude, I'm hunting pigs.
Pigs.
It's
cool.
funny you're talking like road trip and hunting and going to the beach. Dude, my bow is packed. My bag is packed. Going to go visit a little Hawaii Rainbow Warriors football program and mix in some pig hunting.
Nice. Okay, great. That'll be fun. So we'll do Ole Miss. Are you going for 10 days?
Yeah.
All right. 10 days. That still gives us time right before the season. We should have done this earlier to do the Ole Miss preview. And
why? This is great time, you see, because by the time I get back, everybody will have hashed everything out, talked about every point they could. Nobody will be talking about nothing.
That's
true. We'll be the only ones talking about something.
That's true. So when Bartoo gets back from pig hunting and hanging out with the Hawaii Rainbows, are they the Rainbows, Bartoo? Okay.
I don't know. I don't think they kept.
Are they,
that.
Blake?
I think it's the Warriors.
Warriors.
Rainbow.
Okay.
See, when I grew up, they had the Hawaii Warriors, but they always had the rainbow on the helmet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Old school stuff. So in my mind, because I'm so damn old, I don't like change. Oh, you should keep the same damn helmets. Damn. No, it's the Hawaii Warriors. So and Todd Graham, head coach Todd Graham, trying to make things happen out there on the islands.
All right, so we'll leave it there. Bartoo heading to Hawaii for a while, and then he'll be back. That's gonna be awesome. He'll be jumping on the show throughout the year, and we hope to get him down here to the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook and maybe to a game. Thanks, Bartoo. Be good, dude.
Take it easy, brother. Good
dude right there. Dave Bartoo on the Modelo guest line at CFB Matrix. Who knew when he jumped on the first time that, 11 years later, he'd still be coming on the show and we'd be having a blast. Show is powered by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook and award-winning Dancing Rabbit